So we just did a segment on the people that Trump picked for various positions in his administration, and the gist of the segment was it is jam-packed with warmongers and scam artists. But some of the picks are so bad and so over the top that they deserve their own segments. And that's what you're getting right here. So, as you can see from the Associated Press, breaking, President-elect Donald Trump names former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee as nominee for ambassador to Israel. Let me explain something for those of you who don't know who this guy is, right? Maybe you're a younger person and you watch my show. You weren't there for the Bush years. You weren't there when Mike Huckabee ran for president twice. Mike Huckabee, the best way to describe him is a evangelical, fundamentalist, end times, apocalyptic religious zealot. If you've never seen a true Bible believer, word for word, page for page, more than Mike Huckabee. This guy is like a young earth creationist. He thinks the earth is 6,000 years old. He thinks the Bible is literal, and it impacts the way he views policy. So guys, I'm not kidding when I say he thinks the rapture is going to happen, where Jesus comes back in his lifetime and kills everybody who doesn't convert and gets a small number to convert, and then everybody goes to heaven and they're in paradise forever and they hold hands and sing, hooray, hallelujah. He believes that stuff literally. Literally. I'm going to prove that to you in just a second here, but this is the guy for ambassador to Israel in the midst of Israel committing a genocide of the Palestinian people. They've killed minimum 50,000 people in Gaza, about 90% of them civilians. I'm giving you the lowball number there. You know, we've seen numbers as high as 118,000 from the U.S. doctors that were there. We've seen numbers as high as 186,000 from the Lancet. When they say direct war and indirect war deaths, that was a report that came out a few months back. Right now, Israel is engaged in a starvation campaign for North Gaza. They're not allowing in the humanitarian aid that the U.S. is, on paper, we say they're legally required to let in the aid. Well, they haven't let in the aid. They haven't let in the right amount of aid, not remotely close. And now the U.S. says, well, we're still not going to do anything about it. We're not going to cut off the money. We're not going to cut off the weapons to Israel. So understand, this guy believes in biblical end times. And in biblical end times, Israel has to take control of all of the Holy Land. So his perspective as the U.S. ambassador to Israel is going to be complete the genocide in Gaza and also take all of the West Bank. Make all the Holy Land Israel, and then that could trigger end times and Jesus can come back. This is literally what he thinks. Okay. All right. You ready? Here is Mike Huckabee in 2017 in Israel. By the way, he's taken over 100 trips to Israel. He's one of the chief pro-Israel propagandists who tries to get U.S. politicians to go to Israel. They get brainwashed. They come back. They have the perspective of, the U.S.-Israel bond is unshakable, and we will always have their back no matter what, even if they commit a genocide. Listen to what he said in 2017.
My feelings personally, and I'm speaking only as a person, I think Israel would only be acting on the property it already owns. I think Israel has title deed to Judea and Samaria. There are certain words I refuse to use. There is no such thing as a West Bank. It's Judea and Samaria. There's no such thing as a settlement. They're communities, they're neighborhoods, they're cities. There's no such thing as an occupation.
There's no such thing as an occupation. By the way, him referring to this as Judea and Samaria, that's his way of saying the West Bank is not its own thing. It belongs to Israel. That's like the old school, ancient biblical name for it is Judea and Samaria. It's not that. It's the West Bank. But that goes to show you in his mind, fuck the Palestinians. They don't count. They don't exist. This is all Israel's. He does not care how many of them get pulverized. He wants to see them wiped off the map.
That people are living in lean-tos and tents, and sleeping in cars, circled around a tree. They're living in very well-designed and beautiful cities and communities. Can't wait to get back. I'm going to take an extra hat. I'm going to get it to President-elect Trump. Build Israel great again. Who knows? We may see him wear this out there in one of his rallies somewhere. I don't know. Can't promise that. I can only promise he will get a copy of the hat. Thank you very much.
So you got a lot of people now, even many in the MAGA base now are saying, bro, this guy is Israel first. He's not America first. All right, I got more for you. When he ran for president, I want to say this was 2008 when Mike Huckabee ran for president. There was a big scandal over one of the things he said. Listen to this.
I have opponents in this race who do not want to change the Constitution. But I believe it's a lot easier to change the Constitution than it would be to change the word of the living God. And that's what we need to do, is to amend the Constitution so it's in God's standards rather than try to change God's standards so it lines up with some contemporary view of how we treat each other and how we treat the family.
He wants to scrap the Constitution and replace it with the Bible. With the Bible. Do you have any idea how psychopathic that is? Jesus Christ. All right, I'm still not done. So here is Mike Huckabee, and this will give you a real sense of just how far gone he is. I wasn't kidding when I said he believes in the end times, he believes in the rapture, he believes it'll happen in his lifetime. Here he's going to talk to an author who gets into details about how Jesus is going to come back in the end times. And just watch some of this interview and you'll get the gist of it.
He's got a new book. I've got it right here in my hands. It's called What Happens Next? It's about the end times. And quite frankly, some of us think we may just be living in them. So, Max Lucado, so good to see you. Thanks for joining us, and welcome as we talk about the end of the world.
Well, Governor, I wouldn't be anywhere else. I'm supremely honored to have these moments with you. And yes, I do believe we're not just in the end times. We're in the end of the end times. It's moving fast.
So do you understand why this is beyond dangerous to have this guy as U.S. ambassador to Israel? Do you understand? He is in favor of all of the pulverization and the slaughter and the brutality and the genocide. He's in favor of it. And he literally thinks the more of that Israel does, the closer he gets to meeting Jesus in paradise. So now you can even forget, the Biden administration's classic move is to say, oh yeah, we're working on a ceasefire. Oh yeah, we're trying to pressure Netanyahu to reel it in a little bit and don't use the 2,000-pound bombs and you got to allow in the humanitarian aid and all that stuff. There's this veneer of liberal internationalism there where it's they at least try to put up this facade of, hey, the rules matter, the laws matter. Let's try our best here to you're becoming a rogue state, Israel. Remember, this is what allegedly the Biden administration was saying to Israel and Netanyahu behind the scenes. This is whatever brakes remained on the car are gone. They're gone. This is like putting basically somebody who's a right-wing extremist Israeli as U.S. ambassador to Israel, right? He literally may be more Israel first, because in his mind, it's all about this grand religious narrative, and Jesus is going to come back, and he wants that to happen, and so he wants Israel to take all the land, right? So, man, holy shit. But look, I have to say, to the people in MAGA who thought he'd be anti-war, Trump would be anti-war, you do understand that when you vote for a candidate, you're voting for an entire apparatus, right? It's not just you get Trump and then he somehow magically finds people who agree with him on every issue or agree with his rhetoric on every issue and he staffs the administration like that. No, he's of course going to go to the standard Republican apparatus, which is from the Heritage Foundation, for example. It's from the bench of former politicians. There's this ideological project that he's at the top of, but he's just going to be George W. Bush on steroids. That's what he was in 2016. That's what he's going to be this time. And now you can see it. By the way, important point to make. Why would he put Mike Huckabee in this position? Mike Huckabee has perpetually sucked Trump off his entire time in public life. Mike Huckabee's been one of Trump's staunchest defenders. That's the real litmus test for Trump. The real litmus test is, will you heap praise on me? Will you show me adoration? Will you never speak out against what I say? And Mike Huckabee, yeah. But Mike Huckabee just uses that as a tool because in his mind, it's more about the end times. It's more about his religious fundamentalism. It's more about getting close to seeing Jesus. It's more about Israel being dominant, finishing their genocide. So he'll say whatever he has to say to keep that power and to let Israel get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with. So Damn, man. I could let this play out for you, but I think you get the gist of it. This is basically an 8-minute interview of Mike Huckabee being like, I agree with you, and the end times is coming any minute now. And now he feels like he's, he's in this grand play to usher in the rapture, and he's an important piece on the chessboard. So, goddamn, look, I don't want to downplay how horrible the Democrats and Joe Biden and, all of them have been on the issue of the genocide in Gaza. They've been horrendous. It's been horrible. But you, without a doubt, are about to see that it truly wasn't rock bottom yet. It truly wasn't rock bottom yet. And now you're about to see what rock bottom really, really looks like. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.